America's royal family. Prince of Darkness himself, Ozzy Osbourne, the Queen Mum, Sharon Osbourne.
I call Piers a pompous bastard.
The heir to the throne, Jack Osbourne.
You know, I just hope Piers isn't a dick as always.
Just your average, hard-living, heavy metal, biting bats' heads off family next door. You've heard the stories, and I can tell you from personal experience, they're all true. So tonight, the Osbournes, uncensored.
You all.
Well, nearly uncensored. This is Piers Morgan Tonight. Ozzy, Sharon, Jack. Here we are on the outskirts of Hollywood in one of your many fabulous homes. Do you ever sit here, just the three of you sometimes, and think, how did we get here?
Every day. I got here. I come from the airport, going to cab.
No. Be serious about it, because when I watched Jack's movie about you, Ozzy, and what it reminded me is from the very humble beginnings that you all came from. You didn't come from any privilege or any great wealth or anything, particularly you, Ozzy. I mean, I just wonder whether sometimes you have that moment where you just think, how did this happen?
Do you know, I had the occasion to go back to the house that I grew up in Aston, Birmingham, a few months ago. And it's when you go back, you go, the reality of what you've done hits you like between the eyes. I mean...
It was a tiny house.
Tiny. You could get the whole thing into this area, you know. And there were 6 of us and our mum and dad, you know. I don't know how we did it, you know.
And for you, Jack, I mean, the complete converse, because you were born into pretty fabulous wealth and luxury and everything else, and yet the overriding sense I got from the movie that you made, which was a painstaking labour of not entirely love, I have to say, over 2-3 years, was that the money just never brought any proper happiness. And there's a moment of real awareness with Ozzy, I think, when, you know, you say to him, you say, all the stuff I've bought you, Jack, over the years, you've never wanted for anything you've ever wanted. And you just turn around and say, yeah, except a proper father.
Yeah, but I think that's kind of what makes, our family relatable, is that it doesn't matter what walk of life you come from, addiction still affects the family the same way. Whether you are living in a, beautiful mansion in Hidden Hills or you're living in a ghetto in South Central, it's still going to be the same issues within a family. I can only speak for myself. I went from being a relatively normal 15-year-old in high school to being all over MTV, and literally I could do whatever I wanted, and I was being praised for it no matter what. And so you can't not let that affect you negatively, because it's like, well, how far can I push it today? What can I do today that I couldn't do yesterday? And it's this weird...
If you had your time again, would you choose to be in that MTV show?
Absolutely, yeah, because I wouldn't be here talking to you, and what a gem that is.
That may be the downside. Sharon, would you take all your kids into that environment again, knowing what happened to them after? Because it was, it was incredibly exciting, but it was much bigger than I think any of you realised. And the harsh reality in the immediate aftermath certainly was that for most of your kids, it was pretty torturous a few years afterwards.
I've gone over and over the same question in my mind. Did I do the right thing? And I honestly have to say that I would do it again. I definitely would. We had unbelievable experiences as a family that we shared. It was an amazing time in our life. Yes, bad things happen, but bad things happen anyway.
I mean, what's interesting, I think, with you, and I've got to know you well, I'm feel very privileged to have done that, but I didn't know you through the really bad days. And what came through in the movie was there were a lot of bad days, and there weren't many good days as far as some of the family were concerned.
I mean, it wasn't my idea one night when I was living in... This is documented as well. For me to go out, have a few drinks, and wake up in jail and charged with attempted murder of Sharon. I have no idea how that happened, but it did. And that didn't even stop me getting crazy. I mean, I just come back from England, and the drug scene in England is rampant now.
It is.
It's rampant. Not just England, all over. It's everywhere now, and it's the hardcore stuff, you know.
And what do you think of that, coming from Britain and going back there and seeing it so much more prevalent now, given what it did to you and your life and the impact on your family?
I'm lucky. I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't do drugs anymore. I was before Amy Winehouse, you know. I mean, it was like you had to know somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody to get it. But now it's the availability is easy now.
I mean, it's interesting about Amy Winehouse, because I know you knew her, Sharon, and Kelly was a very good friend of Amy's. I guess you knew her as well, Jad. Yeah. And I interviewed Mitch, her father, and it was a very emotional interview. And if I'm honest, I went into it thinking, you know, I'm going to hold him accountable a bit here. He is the father. When I heard him talk about the battles he'd had to try and control Amy and the drugs and everything else, and the alcohol in particular, which actually became worse than the drugs for her, you know, I had a lot more sympathy for him, and I felt real empathy towards him. Do you feel lucky that none of your kids ended up like Amy Winehouse?
Lucky is not the word. I mean, it's blessed. I feel blessed. And Amy's dad was very well educated in the disease. He was very well read. He knew all about it. We were just blessed with our children that at the end of the day, it didn't get the better of them.
What about me?
What about you?
I think she said she's including you in one of the children, Ozzy. When I interviewed Kelly a while ago, and you know, I was pretty startled by how close she felt she'd come to possibly losing her life through drugs.
You know, you look at people like Kelly, and you look at Amy Winehouse. They're tiny little girls, tiny little girls. They've got nothing. You know, you drink, and, you know, then they don't eat, and then they throw up, and then all of this stuff. How do their bodies take it? How, how do they think their bodies can continue doing this and doing this?
But then at the same time, it doesn't have anything to do with the size, the age, the width, how high they are. It's to do with the luck. I mean, how many people do you ever go on to sleep? Big guys came out and they choke on their vomit, and it happens every night.
Sharon says she feels blessed that none of her children ended up losing their lives through drugs. Do you feel lucky? What do you feel?
Yeah, I think I mean, that was definitely one of the key factors in helping me stay sober, was kind of realizing that, for all accounts, I probably should have died. I did a lot of stupid things, and you know, and I was fortunate enough to always wake up the next day, and that was something that, when I got sober, I was like, well, there's probably a reason. So I should probably figure that out.
When we come back, Sharon talks about the darkest moment of her marriage, when Ozzy tried to kill her.
It was